Have you ever noticed how much your heart wavers under the gaze or judgment of others? How many times have you felt shaken, lifted up by a compliment, or pulled down by a single criticism? And have you ever wondered why we often live trying to please others, instead of truly listening to ourselves? From childhood, we grow up in countless eyes and voices. Parents expect us to be one way, teachers tell us to be another. Friends share their opinions, and society constantly evaluates us. Little by little, year by year, we bend ourselves to fit those expectations, longing to be accepted, hoping to be praised. Yet the more we do so, the further we drift from our own center. We lose our inner freedom, becoming puppets pulled by the strings of praise and blame, gain and loss. The Buddha taught that no one can escape the 8 worldly winds: gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disgrace, joy and sorrow. These winds blow through our lives every single day. If our mind is fragile, every gust will sway us. A compliment can make us soar. A criticism can plunge us into despair. But praise and blame are only like passing breezes. They arrive, they depart, they never stay. It is only our clinging that turns them into chains of suffering. Look closely. When someone praises us, we feel joy. But that joy never lasts, because beneath it lies the fear of losing it. When someone criticizes us, we feel pain. Yet that pain, too, fades with time. For who remembers to keep criticizing forever? In truth, praise and blame are nothing more than sounds arising and vanishing in space. It is our own mind that decides whether those sounds become shackles or simply pass by like the wind. Buddhist wisdom offers us a simple yet profound reminder. Do not let yourself be imprisoned by the opinions of others. This is not about becoming numb or indifferent. It is about becoming free. With a steady heart, we can listen to every word with calmness. Praise, we smile in gratitude. Criticism, we listen and take what is useful. But in both, we remain at peace within ourselves. Remember, the opinions of others are not absolute truth. They only reflect a person's perspective in a given moment, colored by their state of mind. Someone who admired us yesterday might criticize us today. Someone who disliked us may one day become a close companion. Opinions change like clouds drifting across the sky. If we define ourselves by the clouds, our life will forever be murky and unstable. But if we return to the vast sky within, we will see. Clouds are just clouds, while the sky has always been clear and spacious. Breaking free from others' opinions does not mean rejecting everything. It means having the freedom to listen without losing yourself. We can accept feedback with openness, but we don't need to live solely to please. We can hear criticism without letting it crush our confidence. Only then are we truly alive, living in peace, living with freedom. Imagine your heart as a tree. If the roots are shallow, even a light wind can topple it. But if the roots grow deep, storms may come, yet the tree still stands firm. Practicing mindfulness, looking deeply within, is how we strengthen those roots. Each mindful breath, each grounded step, is a drop of water nourishing the roots of freedom. When our mind is solid like a mountain, praise and blame are nothing more than rustling leaves. When our mind is clear like a still lake, judgments may ripple on the surface, but they fade away without disturbing the depth. Then we realize something extraordinary. We don't need to prove anything at all. Our true nature has always been complete, worthy, and whole. A person who lives free amid countless opinions is not someone who turns away from the world. They still live, still love, still engage, but with unshakable strength. They welcome praise with gratitude, learn from criticism with humility, yet remain unmoved at their core. Like a ship with a strong rudder, they sail through the waves without losing direction. My friend, if you've ever felt exhausted from constantly worrying about how others see you, pause for a moment. Breathe. Listen to the quiet voice within. Freedom is not out there in someone else's approval. Freedom is here, in this breath, in this step, in this very moment of awareness. Try this practice. When someone praises you, smile and remind yourself, this is just the wind. When someone criticizes you, smile again and say, this too is just the wind. Over time, you'll feel your heart grow spacious, and when the heart is spacious, the fear of others' eyes dissolves. Inner freedom is the most precious gift we can give ourselves. It does not come from pleasing everyone. It comes from living authentically, kindly, and mindfully. When we walk the path of wisdom and compassion, every praise and every blame becomes nothing more than a faint echo. We continue to smile, to walk, to live in serenity. Can you imagine a day when you are no longer shaken by the gaze of others? A day when judgment no longer frightens you. A day when you live fully as yourself, simple, sincere, and free. That is the moment you are truly liberated from the opinions of others. And on this journey, you are never alone. Here, on Buddha's wisdom journey, we walk together, reflecting, practicing, returning home to the peace that has always been within us. Because true happiness is not found in universal praise, but in discovering the unshakable stillness of our own heart. When you see this truth, you'll understand. Every look, every word is just a passing cloud. But your mind, your true nature, has always been the vast, open sky. And that sky has never been bound by anyone. The human heart is easily swayed by praise and blame, by likes and dislikes. When someone praises us, we feel uplifted, as if given new strength. When someone criticizes us, we feel small, hurt, and wounded. Our lives are pushed back and forth by these winds, until we can no longer hear the true voice within. And when we depend too much on the judgments of others, we begin to lose our direction. We no longer live for ourselves, but live only to satisfy the world around us. Slowly, we become just a shadow, losing inner freedom, losing even our very self. In truth, praise and blame are just two sides of the same coin. They always exist together, and always will. No one in this life can receive nothing but praise, and no one can escape criticism entirely. That is simply the way things are. Yet because our minds are fragile, we treat praise like sweet honey, and criticism like bitter shame. We cling to praise, we run from blame, and so our hearts remain restless and unsettled. The Buddha pointed out this truth in simple words. There is praise and blame, but the wise remain unmoved. A wise person is not someone who never hears praise or blame, but someone who is not carried away by them. They know that praise is only an illusion, and blame is only an illusion. Neither reveals our true essence. Our real nature lies beyond judgment, beyond the noise of the world. The opinions of others are nothing more than reflections of their own perspective. Today they may praise us, tomorrow they may blame. Someone who admires us now might one day turn away. Someone who criticizes us today might one day become a close companion. Everything shifts with circumstances, moods, and preferences. If we measure our worth by those shifting views, we will always be lost, never truly knowing who we are. Buddhist wisdom shows us that real happiness does not lie in gaining praise, nor in avoiding blame. It lies in understanding ourselves and living in alignment with the Dharma. When we clearly see what is wholesome, what brings peace to ourselves and others, we simply walk that path. Praise or blame, they are nothing but passing breezes. What remains is the peace within, the clarity in the heart. So how can we free ourselves from the bondage of praise and blame? There are 3 essential practices. First is contemplation of impermanence. Look deeply and you'll see. Every opinion, whether good or bad, is constantly changing. The one who praises you today may criticize you tomorrow. The one who criticizes you today may come to love you later. If we cling to such shifting things, suffering is inevitable. When we truly understand impermanence, we no longer get caught in those ups and downs. Second is mindfulness meditation. Whenever we hear praise or blame, stop. Take a deep breath and return to yourself. Don't rush to react. Don't chase after the joy or drown in the pain. Just observe, just listen. Like standing on the riverbank watching the water flow by. In mindfulness, praise is just sound. Blame is just sound. Both come and go. They cannot touch our true core. Third is building inner strength. To remain unmoved, we need strong roots. This strength arises from understanding and compassion. It comes from knowing that our worth is not defined by someone's nod or frown. Our true value is found in the sincerity of the way we live, in the kindness we cultivate, and in the wisdom we practice each day. When this inner strength is firm, we no longer need to prove ourselves through the eyes of others. Through these practices, we gradually see. Praise is fine, blame is fine. When someone praises us, we are grateful. When someone criticizes us, we learn. But in every situation, we keep our peace. And in that peace, we find true freedom. This freedom is not external. It is inner freedom. Freedom from the chains of others' opinions. It gives us the strength to live authentically, to be at ease amid life's changes, to smile in the face of both praise and blame. Because deep down we know we are walking the path of wisdom and compassion, and that is the source of genuine happiness. When we begin the journey back to ourselves, we realize that what has caused our suffering all along is not truly the words of others, but the way we cling to them. A word of praise, if we can smile and receive it like a cool breeze, passes lightly and brings gentle joy. But if we hold on tightly, craving to hear praise every day, then the moment it disappears, we feel empty. Likewise, a word of criticism, if we look with mindful eyes and see it simply as one person's perspective, it will drift away easily. But if we hold it in our hearts, the wound remains. What hurts us is not the praise or the blame itself, but our identification with them. We mistake ourselves for what others think, and forget the true nature within us that never changes. It is like a lake. When the wind blows, waves arise. But the waves are not the lake. They come and go, yet the lake remains. If we only look at the waves, we think the lake is sometimes calm, sometimes fierce. But when we look deeply, we see the water has never lost its clarity. Buddhist wisdom invites us to return to that water within ourselves. Do not be deceived by the waves of praise and blame. Our true essence is not defined by outside judgment. It is the very life breathing in this moment, the capacity to love, to understand, to smile. Seeing this clearly, we no longer let passing opinions define who we are. Yet, the path is not always easy. In daily life, we still meet with work, friends, family, and society. We will still hear praise, and we will still hear blame. At times, we will still be shaken. What matters is not that we never tremble again, but that each time we do, we notice it. Each time we are stirred, we come back to the breath. Just one deep breath, one slow step, opens the door to freedom. With steady practice, we begin to discover a space within us. In that space, praise and blame may enter, but they no longer have the power to drown us. They are like guests who come and go, while we remain the calm host. We welcome them with a smile, but we do not let them take over the house. And when our hearts open to this spaciousness, we begin to see the true nature of happiness. Happiness is not about being admired by all, nor about pleasing everyone. Happiness is living in truth, with kindness and compassion. Happiness is knowing we are walking the right path, even if no one praises us, even if no one understands us fully. Many people fear criticism, so they choose the safety of conformity, never daring to walk their own path. But the Buddha reminded us that living in fear only imprisons us further. Only when we dare to walk with our own 2 feet, to live true to our hearts, do we taste real freedom. Whether others agree or disagree, our minds stand firm, like a mountain unmoved by the wind. A profound practice to nurture that stability is meditation. When we sit down, gently close our eyes, and follow the breath in and out, we begin to see the opinions, the words, the images that once haunted us, now just clouds drifting by. Some dark, some bright, but all passing silently. The sky of our mind remains vast and clear. Mindfulness also shows us that nothing is fixed. The one who praises us today may criticize us tomorrow. The one who criticized us yesterday may one day praise us. All things change. Seeing impermanence clearly, we stop clinging, we stop fearing. And in that clarity, we learn how to let go. Letting go does not mean indifference. It means we no longer let ourselves be chained. We still listen sincerely, with an open heart, and adjust when needed. But afterward, we return to inner stillness. With the capacity to let go, life becomes light. The more we practice, the more we see that our true worth does not come from outside praise or blame, but from the nourishment of our own heart. A heart full of compassion, capable of forgiveness and empathy, that is real value. A mind clear with wisdom, able to discern right from wrong, guided by goodness, that is lasting strength. And no one can give this to us, and no one can take it away. When we are rooted in this way, we can walk through life with freedom. Whether praised or blamed, we keep walking. Each step carries peace and mindfulness, and in each step, we feel it deeply. We are alive. We are truly present. A free person does not need to prove themselves with the praise of the world. They do not need to polish their image for admiration. They simply live truthfully, kindly, peacefully. And from that peace, a natural radiance flows, so that anyone who comes near feels its calm presence. This world will never be without praise and blame. But when we see their true nature, when we build strong inner strength, we are no longer their victim. We can live among endless voices, yet remain serene, like a lotus blooming in the mud, untouched by it. And that is true freedom. The freedom from invisible chains that bound us for so long. The freedom to live as we are, to walk our path, to love and serve with all our heart. Once we taste this freedom, we realize there is no greater happiness. There's a truth we often overlook. People are constantly judging one another. Within families, at work, in society, and especially online, the eyes and voices of others are like an invisible mirror. We look into it hoping to see ourselves, yet that mirror sometimes magnifies, sometimes distorts. And if we only rely on that reflection, we will never truly recognize our own original face. We live in a world where praise and criticism come and go every single moment. A photo posted online may gather dozens of compliments, but just as easily draw harsh comments. A decision made at work may win support from one person and disapproval from another. If we let these voices become the roots of our mind, then our life is nothing more than a tiny boat tossed about by waves, adrift, unsure of where the shore lies. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, life is impermanent. The self is without a fixed identity. Impermanence means nothing lasts forever, not even praise or blame. No self means there is no solid me to cling to. When we see this clearly, we realize that the opinions of others are nothing more than passing breezes. They cannot define who we truly are. They only reflect the state of the speaker's own mind in that fleeting moment. So why do we still suffer from these opinions? Because we lack roots. We don't yet truly know who we are, or what our real values are. When the heart is empty, it craves praise to fill the void, and fears criticism because it touches that emptiness. But when we have inner strength, when our mind is grounded in wisdom and compassion, then praise and blame are like winds brushing through the leaves of a tree. A tree with deep roots never falls just because the wind blows. Even the Buddha himself was slandered and criticized, yet he remained serene, for he knew those words could not touch the truth. It is like striking the sky with a stick. Nothing is harmed. The wise are the same, unmoved by praise or blame, because they see the emptiness at the heart of all words. For us, to walk even a little closer to that serenity, we must begin with inner observation. When someone praises us, let's pause and notice what arises in our heart. A spark of pride, perhaps a subtle arrogance, a desire to prove ourselves further. And when someone criticizes, what appears? A wound, anger, or the urge to fight back. Simply observing like this reveals that the pain doesn't come from others' words. It comes from our own reactions. From here, we see the value of mindfulness. When we return to the breath, resting in the present moment, praise and blame lose much of their grip. Praise is simply a sound passing through the ear. Criticism is also just a sound passing through the ear. If we don't add stories, if we don't feed them with thoughts, they stop right there, like wind blowing through the sky, leaving no trace. But mindfulness is not only about keeping calm, it also sharpens wisdom. With clarity, we recognize that in praise and criticism, some things are true, others are false. Some arise from goodwill, others from prejudice. With wisdom, we learn to choose wisely. What is true, we accept to improve ourselves. What is false, we release for the sake of peace. In this way, we avoid both extremes, chasing after praise or resisting blame. Another essential practice is cultivating compassion. When someone praises us, we feel gratitude. When someone criticizes us, we look at them with kindness. For sometimes, those who criticize are also suffering, merely projecting their own pain onto us. If we respond with compassion, resentment has no place to grow. Compassion transforms praise into encouragement and criticism into a chance to mature. Then, both praise and blame become companions on our path of awakening. True freedom does not come from silencing all voices of praise and blame, but from learning to stand steady amid them. This is the freedom of no longer being chained by the gaze of others, no longer imprisoned by ever-changing judgments. It is the freedom to be ourselves, authentic, serene, and wise. And that freedom is the very doorway that opens to lasting happiness. When we truly see the fragility of praise and blame, we begin to realize that all we've been clinging to is nothing more than illusion. Praise makes us believe we are valuable, yet that value fades the moment a single opposing word appears. Criticism makes us feel small, but that pain doesn't last either. It only lingers as long as we continue to feed it. Both praise and blame, if we look closely, are nothing but passing clouds in the sky. The sky does not lose its vastness because of clouds, nor does it lose its clarity. Our mind is the same, pure and spacious at its core, but restless only because it chases after praise and blame. The Buddha once taught, "Just as a solid rock is unmoved by the wind, so too the wise remain unshaken by praise or blame, gain or loss, joy or sorrow." That image of the rock offers us a lesson. True worth does not come from the words of others, but from the steadiness of our own heart. When our inner being is strong, the noise outside becomes nothing more than passing wind, unable to throw us off balance. But to have such stability, we cannot simply wish or hope for it. It requires steady practice, cultivated step by step, day by day. First, we must learn to return to ourselves. Instead of chasing after praise to feel validated, we can sit quietly, listen to our breath, and feel the beating of our heart, to realize that life itself is already precious. Instead of being wounded by criticism, we can learn to smile and look deeply into the feeling that arises, seeing it as nothing more than a cloud drifting by. Another essential practice is right view, seeing things as they truly are. With right view, we no longer believe that praise makes us greater, or criticism makes us smaller. We understand that neither touches our true nature. We no longer chase after the illusion of a self that must be defended, but instead learn to live with the truth. We are a flow, a process, always changing. Right view gives us a wider, kinder perspective, freeing us from extremes toward those who praise and those who blame. We also need compassion for ourselves. Many times we don't suffer because others criticize us. We suffer because we criticize ourselves. That inner voice of judgment can weigh heavier than 1,000 voices outside. When we learn to be gentle with ourselves, we stop depending so much on the eyes of others. We see that we are learning, growing, and still on the path, and we allow ourselves to make mistakes, to be imperfect. Then, criticism no longer feels like a sentence, but simply a bell reminding us to pause, reflect, and move forward. Another important step is to live by our true values. When we know what is right, we act upon it, not for praise, not out of fear of blame. We speak truthfully, act kindly, and plant seeds of compassion, because that is what our heart calls us to do. In that way, we no longer need validation or recognition. Our joy arises directly from wholesome action itself, not from the approval of others. That is a joy that cannot be shaken. On this path, each time we receive praise, we learn to accept it without attachment. We smile, give thanks, but do not let it inflate the ego. And when we receive criticism, we learn to listen without resentment. We take it as a mirror. If it holds truth, we adjust. If not, we let it go. In this way, both praise and blame become opportunities for growth rather than chains of bondage. The most precious fruit of this practice is inner freedom. A freedom that no one can give to us and no one can take away. It is born from letting go, from the ability to live true to ourselves. With this freedom, we finally discover true happiness. Happiness that does not depend on the number of admirers and cannot be broken by a few harsh words. Happiness that arises from peace in every breath, steadiness in every step, and the joy of living in harmony with truth. And when inner freedom arises, so too does our capacity for love. No longer afraid of the gaze of others, no longer wasting time chasing after praise or resisting blame, we find more space to listen, to understand, to empathize with the suffering around us. Inner freedom opens the door for compassion to bloom. And when compassion blooms, life becomes lighter, more meaningful, more joyful. This freedom is not a distant dream. It can begin right here, today, in this very breath, in this very way of seeing praise and blame. Each day we pause, listen, and let go. One invisible chain falls away. Until one day, we suddenly find ourselves walking freely, unbound by any opinion. And in that moment, we are truly alive, living free, living authentically, living with a heart wide open. When we free ourselves from dependence on the opinions of others, we finally touch that deep stillness within. Because in truth, what makes us suffer is not praise or blame themselves, but our clinging, our tendency to identify with them. As long as we believe that praise lifts us up and criticism pulls us down, we are still living in chains. Only when we let go do we realize that freedom was never lost. It has always been here, right within each breath, within every moment we return to ourselves. Look back on your own life for a moment. How many times have you smiled because of someone's approval? And how many times have you felt weighed down, restless, even wounded by a single harsh word? If we gathered all those moments, our life might look like a tiny boat tossed endlessly by waves. But then comes the question, where is that boat really going? Am I truly living for myself or merely drifting according to the tides of praise and blame? The Buddha reminded us, opinions are impermanent. They arise, they fade, like passing winds. Today someone may honor you. Tomorrow that same person may reject you. A community may celebrate you with open arms, but with the smallest change, their gaze may turn cold. If we build our life upon those shifting winds, we condemn ourselves to an endless chase, never knowing true rest. But when we turn inward, we discover a strength that does not waver. That truth is not a concept, it is a living experience. It is the peace you feel when breathing mindfully. It is the quiet joy of doing something kind without needing anyone to know. It is the gentle smile you share with yourself in stillness. This truth does not depend on recognition, because it is already whole. It is like a mountain. Storms may rage, winds may howl, but the mountain stands firm, majestic and unmoved. So let this reminder stay with you. Opinions may come and go, but the truth within you is timeless. Do not let your life be swept away by the endless currents of praise and blame. Instead, tend the soil of your inner world, and let the flowers of freedom and peace quietly bloom there. Every mindful breath is a step toward freedom. Just pausing for a single inhale, a single exhale, we begin loosening an invisible chain. With each mindful step, we move closer to an unshakable peace. Day by day, these small practices gather, becoming a vast strength that allows us to walk this life without being bound by the voices of the world. And remember, inner freedom does not only bring joy to yourself, it radiates outward. When you no longer chase approval, you have more energy to love, to listen, to live with kindness. You become a source of calm for others, a shade of refuge for those who are weary. Your very presence, grounded and free, becomes a gift to this world. Before we close, I invite you to pause with me. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Feel how this breath whispers to you. You do not need any other validation. You are already enough, right here, right now. If these reflections touched your heart, I warmly invite you to join us on this journey of wisdom and compassion. Subscribe to Buddha's Wisdom Journey so you won't miss the teachings and practices that guide us back to the freedom within. And I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, share your own experience. Have you ever felt shaken by praise or blame? And how did you find your way back to peace? Your words might become a light for someone else who is also struggling in the dark. Thank you for walking together in this moment. May each mindful breath, each steady step, bring you closer to that inner freedom, the most precious gift life can ever offer.